Sports Bikes here, bringing flavor so supreme. Great food, great sports, we the podcast dream team. Up full of wings, eyes glued to the screen. From tailgates to courtside, living the dream. Tying up your laces, serving hot takes. Pizza in the oven, we discussing all stakes. From touchdowns to slam dunks, every angle right. Chewing up the stats, snacks every night. Sports and spice, mix in a bite. Podcast full, taking out a new height. Bite-sized news, west side beasts. The grill, dish up the beats. Hot steaks, hot cakes, talking about goats. Super Bowl Sunday, dip into the quotes. Curry with the shot and the flavor that's pro. Cooking up victories, follow the show. Touchdown taste, home run snacks. Courtside beat, chefs had no hacks. Eating up the plays like a voracious beast. Feast of commentary, never miss a feast. Sports and spice, mix in a bite. Podcast full, taking out a new height. Bite-sized news, west side beast. Topic hot off the grill, dish up the beats.
Good Tuesday evening, everybody. Little new intro music. Hope you're doing good this Tuesday. It is 4th of July week. So from here at Sports Bites, let me just say, I hope the grill is hot. I hope the beer is cold. I hope you guys are having a good Tuesday. Getting ready for the 4th of July. Always a lot of fun. Honor America. You get together, you grill, you have, you meet with family, fireworks, kid. Like it's all amazing. Love the 4th of July. I hope you guys are set for a great weekend. And we're here to talk some sports, right? And obviously, people that know me, look, right here, Oklahoma. Congratulations, Oklahoma. Congratulations, Texas. You asked for it. Now you got it. Official members of the SEC. We're going to break that down. We're going to play a game. I say play a game. I've got an idea of, the coaches that are in the SEC coming up this year. Who is it most important to have success this year in the SEC? We'll talk about that. Also, I've got my who would you rather have. Now, again, when we do this, who would you rather have? It's at the time like their college career. I try to find two people in the same position that have a lot of similarities, stats, end of season results, stuff like that. And I like to get the fans interactive and really get. So if you guys see right down here, you see all the socials. Go ahead and follow them all on Twitter at SportsBitesPod1, right? I love it. At SportsBitesPod1, do a lot of stuff on Twitter. TikTok, I need to get back to doing more content. That's on me. I usually do like daily polls. I can't wait till I go to Europe. Next month, I'm going to be in London. Going to get some, video of trying to go to Chelsea, Man City. I don't know if I'm able to swing tickets, but I think we might go to West Ham, Aston Villa. So they're still up in the air as far as what we're going to do when we go to London next month, me and my wife. But there's going to be some great videos, some content from over in London. There's obviously going to be some food reviews because I'm going to have some damn fish and chips, some warm beer in a pub, Scotch eggs, everything. We're going to hit the Borough Market. We're going to travel. So if you like on my YouTube page, and again, at Sports Bites Podcast on YouTube, you can subscribe. Not only do we talk about sports, with the NCAA football game coming out, I'm going to be streaming a lot of content from that. Going to be playing that, breaking down. We've got some articles coming out on collegefootballdogs.com. Some great writers doing some great articles, not just about college football, but about this game coming out. We're going to deep dive into it. I'm doing an article that's set to come out on the, and I'll probably talk about it next week in my show, the top 5, group of 5 teams to build a dynasty. And I do this as a result of uniform combinations, recruiting footprint, history, stuff like where you're located. I've got 5 teams in my mind. And, hey, if you got comments, let me know. Let me know. Looking forward to soccer and food cover. Oh, absolutely, Sunbelt. That's right. I'm trying. Now, acquiring, tickets to see European football, it's a little bit, it's different. So it's almost like having the seat licenses with the NFL, right? You have to be like a member of the club, of the, of Man City FC or wherever they're playing, right? And, I think I think I saw last time I looked, Man City, Chelsea, which obviously, and I know we had a couple messages talking about, the U.S. men's team. They're disappointing, Christian Pulisic, if he's playing there, because we're going to be there for opening weekend of Premier League. So we get to London on the 14th, and Premier League starts that Saturday, the 17th. So my wife and I were trying to find tickets to get into opening day somewhere in the Premier League, and it's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to see Stonehenge. I just hope I don't pull a Chevy Chase because we're renting a car. I don't want to back into it, knock Stonehenge over, do all that crap. But we're going to have a good time. We're going to have a good time in London. Vandy Chris, what's up, Vandy? Texas State Bobcats have to be on your list of 5. You'll have to check out and see. It's a very viable option. Great uniform. Maybe not so much the stadium, but a great uniform, different combinations there, an explosive offense. So their playbook is going to be pretty extensive. That's another article that I'm writing for the collegefootballdogs.com is the extensive, vast playbooks in this year's game. But stay hooked up to College Football Dogs because there's a lot of great articles. And I'll tell you this much. Even as an Oklahoma fan, there's a writer in our group, Alex Blackburn, covers the Big 12, right? He wrote an article, a letter from the Big 12 to OU in Texas. And look, it was scathing. And as an Oklahoma fan, you got to sit there and you got to take the lumps. You got to take the lumps. But, check it out. There's some great articles in there. We've got people covering every conference, every team, breaking news. I'm responsible for a lot of the breaking news stuff. But, I mean, we've got some extremely talented writers. And I promise you want to get involved with the College Football Dogs soon. Because by the end of this football year, we're already making some noise. I've said before, pay attention because the College Football Dogs are doing some great things. On the College Football on the Dog TV network, we've got the Sun Belt Syndicate. Actually, you want to talk about Sun Belt Conference? That's your guys right there. Vandy Chris, he's part of the Golden Boot. Fantastic. I mean, you got guys from Arkansas fans, LSU fans, even Vandy Chris. He's a Vanderbilt fan. We've got guys, the Big Ten backers. We've got Football Frame of Mind. There are so many different podcasts that if whatever your niche is in football, College Football Dogs has more for you. Let's see. Apple juice. I don't know what apple juice is. Adding more good writers every day. I think so. I think adding more good writers because, again, there's so much, and it's been kind of a dead period right now. But, again, fantastic job by all the writers. There's been the commitments, craziness going on. I can't wait for the start of football season. I mean, we're close. We're really, really close. Now, I got to say, one of the best things that I saw yesterday, and I took part of watching some of it. I had to work, so I didn't get to see all of it. But the SEC officially welcomed Oklahoma and Texas Sunday. July 1st was the first day. Texas had Pitbull, which I don't get why Pitbull was there, but he was there. Texas had theirs thing on Sunday. Oklahoma had theirs on Monday. Paul Feinbaum, everybody on campus interviewing Brent Venables, Patty Gasso. And I'll tell you, as somebody who's talked to Patty quite a few times, Paul, I won't say he didn't know his homework. I won't say he didn't do his homework, but it almost like he didn't know what to ask Patty Gasso. Yeah, she's a softball coach. People, laugh about, it's just softball. 4 straight national championships. But it was cool to see, all this stuff in there, and seeing all the different interactions, people talking about, the one clip. Let's see. Yep, there's a bot ad. We need to get this bot out of here. I'm not even going to blip and delete. I'm going to block user and delete them real quick. Sorry, Bernard, asking, crazy stuff. That's what happens on the internet. But again, it was really cool to see. And like I said, I live in Birmingham. And when I moved out here to Birmingham in 2016, I was in the mindset that it was going to be hard for me to watch Oklahoma play unless I took that 10.5-hour trip to Oklahoma unless I was lucky enough to have them play anywhere close. Then I got the news it was happening, Texas and Oklahoma. And now being in Birmingham, I'm centrally located to Oklahoma or to everything in the SEC. And I can't wait. I can't wait to go and watch and take part of the history, take part of the tradition, and I'm going to talk more about this, but I want to say, guys, share the podcast. If you're watching right now, do me a favor, just share it and also hit that little like button. If you're on YouTube, hit subscribe, follow. If you're on Facebook, follow this page. There's a lot of good stuff coming, I promise. But I want to say, my man, Joe Castiglione, the athletic director at the University of Oklahoma, and I hope Hunter's listening. I hope you're listening, Hunter, because Joe C had some choice words. Here's Joe Castiglione coming off the top rope yesterday.
Every coach that we talked to was excited. And you know what? The ones that aren't here anymore.
The ones that aren't here anymore. Look, we're not stupid. We know who that was directed at. That was directed at Lincoln Riley. Point blank, period, directed at Lincoln Riley. And, I had the honor, I got the, many times being around Joe C. Joe C is a great guy. He's really good friends with DeConte at Texas, which, I don't like. But, two Italian guys get together, they start talking, having a good time. But again, Joe C, every coach there is excited about it. And we talked a little bit about it yesterday on the Golden Boot. What I don't understand, and this is from everybody, and now again, I'll say this. Every university, every sports team has terrible fans. It's going to happen. There's terrible Oklahoma fans, and shots fired at old Leave 'em Link. Hey, Joe Castiglione came off the top rope on him. And, he doesn't forget. But it's what I don't understand. I talked about it last night with the Golden Boot is the people in the SEC, and it's a two-way street. People in the SEC that feel that Oklahoma just forgot how to play football. Joe C with an RKO out of nowhere. Like old JR was saying, good God. Joe C destroyed him. Appreciate you taking part. Zangief Productions doing good, I hope. But also in that same breath, Oklahoma fans that are saying they're going to come to the SEC and just dominate. Let's pump your brakes. Look, I hope undefeated, great. 10-2, sure. What I feel is going to happen is 7-5, 8-4. There's a lot left to be seen about the SEC. But both sides are kind of delusional. Like the people that are like, well, Oklahoma doesn't deserve to be in. Well, you can't bring up your history. Well, if we can't bring up history, then you can't bring up it's that debate to me is frivolous because history is what you have in sports, right? Now, granted, there's some of the history in the records and the statistics that come before the war. There's a lot of, really doing due diligence to your stats or whatever. But history is what makes a team. And I say this, some people say, well, you're going to be the next Nebraska. Well, Oklahoma's changed conferences before. You went from the Big 8. You went to the Big 12. Oklahoma's found a way. Texas has the overall lead in our series. Now, granted, it's been more one-sided lately, but again, in the history, Texas has the advantage. You got to respect that, right? So I want, and again, it's football crazy. Everybody's going to have their opinion. Everybody's going to be, there's fan bases out there. I tell you the fan base I can't stand besides Texas. Well, there's two in the SEC that I can't stand. I can't stand A&M. You are the most overhyped, do-nothing school out. I mean, Dat Win, Johnny Memmi, which I love Dat Win, but for to be ranked the number one toughest place to play in college football, why are you losing so much? It's a great. I do too. It's going to be very interesting to see how the Horns and Sooners fare in SEC competition this year. Absolutely. And I think we talked about it last night when I was on the Golden Boot that Oklahoma last year, their best game, as far as you look on the schedule and say, hey, I want to go see this game. Their best game at home was the Black Friday game against TCU. All right. That's terrible. But this year you got Bama coming. You got Tennessee coming. Shane Beamer in South Carolina. And they're going to travel. And this goes back to the people who are writing articles about leaving the Big 12 and Oklahoma was greedy. If you wanted it so bad, why did you all always return tickets when it came to come play in Norman? And that's what I want to say. A lot of people don't realize the only home games in Oklahoma that the student section or the fans were sold out was, Ohio State in 2016 when they came in, but all Big 12 schools except Oklahoma State, and they're an in-state opponent, right? Every school always returned at least 2,000 seats. That's not going to happen in the SEC. Oklahoma fans, get ready because there's going to be Georgia fans. There's going to be, when they play out there, Tennessee is going to travel. Florida's going to travel. South Carolina, they're going to travel. They want to sit. They want to be a part of it. So you better get ready. It's coming, whether you like it or not. I was saying the schedules for the SEC's newest initiates are brutal. Man, they are. They do no favors to Texas or Oklahoma. I mean, Texas has to play Georgia and Michigan that year, next year. Oklahoma, I've talked about their 3-game stretch to end the season. Whew. Man. Alabama, Missouri, Alabama, and LSU. In LSU? Now, I think if you're a Dog fan, coming up in my Give 'em a Six or top 6, I am what I think is my top 6 plays in college football since 2010. Georgia might be on there. Uga took over Notre Dame Stadium. Yeah, that's absolutely 100% correct. 100% correct. And, it is funny when people get into that argument, because right now Georgia's up in the pinnacle. You won't hear me say anything different. Is Georgia more new blood? Yes. But right now they're more of a dominant football team than what Oklahoma and even Texas. And Texas made it to the national championship game next year. But so that brings up this. Who needs to have success this year in the SEC? You got my boy BV, Brian Kelly. Does Blake Baker coming over from Missouri help solidify that defense? Shane Beamer at South Carolina. Mark Stoops. Again, hey, I love Mark. Mark was great. He actually hired one of my friends as a defensive coordinator one time. And Derek Mason was his defensive coordinator and really good friend of mine. And hold on, Zangief. You're getting ahead of yourself. That might be on there as well. But who do you guys think? And I want to hear your opinions. I love interacting with the people that are paying attention, paying and listening. Lane Kiffin, with the kind of talent that Lane has at Ole Miss this year, is it more important for him to have success? Because I do think it's a make or break year for Lane with the amount of talent. Jackson Dart's back. Everyone, and I'll say this, everyone talking about the new regime at Alabama, but Kalen DeBoer has done nothing but go out and continue to recruit beasts. Now, again, they've got to do it on the field. You could be, a 5-star, athlete, but have a 2-star personality, and it screws everything up, right? Mark Stoops, and this is not a shot at Kentucky, but Mark Stoops is in one of the most advantageous spots in all of college coaching. He's making a championship level coach's pay with what I believe is not the championship level expectation. What Mark has done has been phenomenal at Kentucky. How they're handling Louisville, beating Florida. I mean, there for a while, I think it was the longest win streak alive was Florida over Kentucky. So they've done a great job at Kentucky. Now also with Sarkisian. With Sarkisian coming to the SEC and being that Texas last year was in the college football playoffs, they beat Alabama. There's a lot of hot, everyone talking about, Sarkisian and with what they're doing, they've they're more ready than Oklahoma. And I've seen it, because they had success. But let's just think. Oklahoma beat that team last year. OU and Texas both need to be successful for sure. If there isn't any upward trajectory, the fans will get reckless quickly, especially in Norman. Yeah, they turned on Rattler. And, Zangief, I agree. When Spencer Rattler was undefeated and the crowd is chanting for Caleb, yeah, that's where I can't remember another school where that's happened. And I think it is big for both Sark and for Brent Venables. Venables getting the extension. Now, I'll say this. There's a lot of people who kind of misunderstood that contract. It's not really such an increase in pay. It's more of a just we believe in you what they're doing. Now, Paul Feinbaum, SEC Mike, a lot of guys that cover the SEC, even Paul Feinbaum, he was on with Barry Trammell, who used to work for the Daily Oklahoman. And I've had my interactions with Barry. May not always like what Barry has to say, but Barry had Paul Feinbaum on his show. And I think Paul said, he goes, 2 years ago, Oklahoma wasn't ready. I agree with that 100%. They were not ready. Now, it's still going to be a tough year. It's still going to be a tough year. And I don't know. I don't know what to expect. A lot of it rides on Jackson Arnold. The defense, I think, is going to be vastly improved. You got Zach Ellie coming in with what he did at JSU. And, of course, he was an understudy for Brent Venables at Clemson, a 30-year-old defense coordinator. Everyone out there has basically said that Ellie is a carbon copy of Brent Venables, right? So it's going to be I want to see this defense. I want to see how they can play. What's up, Rating the Air podcast? Good to have you on. Stoops is building the program the right way. NIL changed the game and allowed Tennessee, Mizzou to bounce back over us. Stoops is still building. It's just slower than the big. And I agree with you. I agree with you 100%. And, Missouri with what they did, kind of in their way of, passing the law to where if you're a high school kid and you go to an in-state school, you can have access to your money before you get to school. So, and I'm going to tell you, and again, I don't have any proof. Allegedly, I believe that's how Caden Green left Oklahoma and went back to Missouri, because there was all those talks going on. But with that law now, Missouri players are getting that benefit if they stay in school. And still, I'm not sold on Missouri this year. You got a very talented quarterback. You got a very talented, probably the best wide receiver room in the SEC. It's going to be hot. We'll see in the Luther Burden, fantastic. Also, I think Theo Weiss is going to be really important. We'll see what they could do, running back ways. That being said, if UK doesn't take a step forward this year, he could be in trouble. You're right. I don't know, if he gets to another 7-8 wins, does that suffice the UK brass? I don't know what that, Oklahoma will always be considered Big 8. I miss the Big 8 days. I miss watching, the basketball tournament when Oklahoma, Missouri, Kansas, when it was on Raycom Sports. And, I miss the Big 8. I miss the Big 8. Colorado, Missouri, Oklahoma, Iowa State, Kansas State, Oklahoma State. It was a lot of fun. That's what I grew up with, right? It's what I grew up with. I need the border war. Yeah. Oh, Cody, what's up, Cody? I think Beamer may be gone, unfortunately. Now, Shane, that's a tough one. That's a tough one. And, I like Shane. Shane did a great job at Oklahoma. The first year he was there at USC at South Carolina, really, really kind of overcame a lot of obstacles, especially at the quarterback position, to have the success that he had. Stoops could also leave for the Ferentz job when it opens up. Rating the Air podcast, I'm glad you brought that up. I'm glad you brought Kirk Ferentz up. To me, Kirk Ferentz is like a professor that has tenure. And I know he's done a lot of great stuff, but I mean, your son couldn't call offense. You have, and people statistically, it's a good defense. Who have they really played? Who have they really played, right? And I'm not a big fan of Kirk Ferentz and where he is right there. Let's see. Zang, if not, they may chuck Stoops to the side despite him being one of the most successful football coaches in the UK. Yeah, I mean, I think, and I don't know the numbers, so I don't want to speak up, but I think he's got more wins than Bear Bryant had when he was there. Of course, he probably coached longer at Kentucky, Tri-State, Kansas versus Missouri is in a rival. And think about this, Tri-State. I was going back and trying to remember the 2007 season when Missouri and Kansas met and it was number 2 versus number 3, and whoever won got to play in the Big 12 championship game. I think it was Reesing was the quarterback at Kansas. You had big old Mark Mangino out there. Whew. I think that was the year. that they did there. Let's see. How are you feeling about Josh Heupel returning to Norman when Tennessee plays? That's a great question. I talked a little bit about that last night on the Golden Boot podcast with those guys. Oklahoma is already planning to do some stuff for Josh. And, to kind of honor him, pay homage to the guy who was the Heisman Trophy runner-up in that 2000 season, coming in from Aberdeen, Utah, South Dakota, wherever he's from. His dad was a preacher coming in, and old Fatty was their coach. He was bad. Yeah. Chase Daniel was on Missouri, but I think Reesing was the quarterback at Kansas. But yeah, Chase Daniel, they had Jeremy Maclin then. But you know what? I know there were some issues towards the end of his tenure at Oklahoma. But again, I think it's one of those, he's been gone. One of the guys that was one of his teammates, I did radio with Teddy Lehman for years. And I think there's going to be, some sentiment. Now, obviously, Josh is going to want to come in and win the football game. He's going to want to come in with Nico Iamaleava and really, showcase. And, it'll be interesting. That's a game that I'm really intrigued about because, one, it's the first game for Oklahoma in the SEC. Then you have the tie-ins with Josh Heupel. You've got two really – now, I'll say this. Nico performed a lot better when he had action last year than Jackson Arnold in the bowl game. So there's a lot of, really good, possibility of quarterback play there. Big Ten backers. What's up, backers? I don't knock the Big Ten West. They score less points than that. The sad thing is, what was the contract? Brian Ferentz renegotiated his contract, 25 points a game. In this day and age in college football, where the rules are geared for the offense to have success, you can't average more than 25 points a game. Yep, you remember said Chase Daniel. Old Fatty was their coach. Mark Mangino, man. Great dude. Loved him to death when he was at Oklahoma. I think he may be back for that Josh Heupel game, with his offense connection. Heupel could return to Oklahoma one day. I think if things sour with Tennessee, if Oklahoma handles it correctly. That's a very good possibility. A lot of it, when Brent was there, obviously Brent was a coach on staff when Josh was a quarterback there. And if Brent doesn't have success, I mean, there's a lot of people right now that feel he's maybe not the answer. I hope everybody's wrong. I want to give him a shot. The way they've been building and recruiting, like I said, guys like David Stone from IMG, his teammate Jaden Jackson. You've got Danny Stutzman, Billy Bowman. You've got guys that are doing, good stuff on the defensive side. So that's what you got to get a better play out of the offensive line if you want to be successful. I need Oklahoma and Nebraska. Man, that's nostalgia for me, TriStar. That's nostalgia. I grew up Thanksgiving weekend, Keith Jackson, both the announcer and the tight end for Oklahoma. Whoa, Nelly. I remember the 88-yard tight end reverse that Keith Jackson ran against Nebraska. Then the next year up in Lincoln, Charles Thompson comes in at quarterback, and Keith Jackson makes the one-handed catch for Lasher to kick the game-winning field goal. And that battle between Dr. Tom and Barry Switzer was always entertaining. I pray and hope that Oklahoma does not turn into Nebraska, because there's a lot of people who are saying that's what you're going to turn into going to the SEC is Nebraska. I don't think so, because, again, Nebraska's handled some things real. I mean, like letting Frank Solich go. I mean, hell, Solich is only winning 10 games a year. Have they won 10 games a year since Solich has been gone? I don't think so. It's mostly between Heupel and Bob Stoops. It was. There was some tension there. Oh, you need some cheerleaders like A&M. No, the hell we don't. Those guys are just fucking weird, okay? They're weird. All that giga whoop, hoop, shoop, swaying, farmers in the wind and stuff, no. They're weird. Like, I've been down there to games, and the way they act and behave on campus is ridiculous. Biggest mistake. I mean, like, you can't walk on the grass. You get yelled at. The dog Reveille has more rights on that campus than you do. They're just, it's weird, man. It's really, really weird down there. It's one of the most cultish places I've been as far as with sports. That fan base is so delusional. And look, it's cool. They do, they got the big boom, boom, the Aggie war hymn and all. Now, I will say this. If you're going to A&M ever, you're in College Station, you got to go to the Dixie Chicken. Fantastic food, fantastic scenery. It's a good time. People don't think the Big Eight would work today. Look at those teams now. It'd be a bloodbath. You're absolutely right. If you brought in, if you had the Big Eight back from back then, Kansas State has had a lot of success recently against Oklahoma. I mean, they've owned Oklahoma recently. Point blank, period. Right? You have Missouri. We'll be good this year. I still think Missouri's a paper tiger. They beat, they're like, oh, they destroyed Ohio State. They beat a very depleted Ohio State team. Most of the guys didn't play for Ohio State in that bowl game. But Oklahoma State is going to be good again. Ollie Gordon should have a chance to, be in Heisman contention if he can quit getting arrested for DUIs. Heard that news break yesterday that Ollie Gordon was arrested over the weekend. They found an open bottle of vodka and an open bottle of tequila in his car. I think that's the last time. I think that's the first time since Eddie Sutton was found near campus with a bottle. And I know that was a problem at Kentucky too with old Coach Sutton. But yeah, I mean Oklahoma State. Mike Gundy. What he's done there. Ollie Gordon, really, really talented running back. I was very surprised that he stayed at Oklahoma State, but he stayed at Oklahoma State. So Vandy Chris says, biggest mistake Nebraska ever made was firing Solich. I agree, Vandy. It wasn't flashy, but they were winning football games. Every school that fires a coach that wins no less than 9 games every year deserves to go through what Nebraska has to fight. I agree. Vandy Chris, I agree 100%. Again, I remember I went to, what year was it? I saw Oklahoma and Nebraska play twice in the Big 12 championship. I saw them in Kansas City at Arrowhead, one of the coldest events I've ever been to in my life. And I kept hearing about how the crowd was like 60,000 to 1. 60,000 to 1, right? And it's supposed to be just outnumbered. But I didn't see him. Me and my buddy named Travis, we went up to, to Kansas City, and we didn't see any Nebraska fans anywhere. Didn't see them. Need some water. But we pull up to the stadium at Arrowhead, and there they were. It was like putting sea monkeys in water. Poof. There's Nebraska fans. We had a huge snowball fight in the parking lot. It was cold, great. And then, of course, sending Nebraska out of the Big 12 when we beat them in Jerry's World. Missouri always finds a way to give Georgia the business. You're right. They do. Took them to mad respect for that. I can't give respect to Coach Drink. I think Coach Drinkwitz is an absolute buffoon, if you ask me. I just, he's going down he's a weird guy, man. That's another one, man. That guy is just super weird. Like I've said, I think he looks like the wrong O'Shea brother on Little Giants. Just a big goober. I'm not a fan of Drinkwitz. This year it'll be different. It'll be interesting to see, because if you remember that 2007 season when Missouri was having the success, they lost 2 games to Oklahoma that year. They lost in Norman, and then they lost in the Big 12 championship game. Oklahoma handled Missouri that year pretty well. Even the Southwest Conference would be great today. Yeah. You bring in SMU and, just so many for the, some of those old classics. And the sad thing is they'll never be that way again. I've said I believe it's going to go to something like 4 16-team conferences, and we'll see. Iowa State, Colorado would be competitive too. I need Drink. Drinkwitz versus Prime. Look, hey, right. They almost beat the college football champs. You're absolutely right. I can't take about that. I can't take that away from him. I don't know. He's just not it for me, man. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Well, we'll see. Think about this. Drink was so much on the hot seat during last year, many thought he would be gone before the season was over. He owes his job to Cody Schrader. Well, I tell you who everyone thought was gone was Brown at West Virginia. His job got saved big time last year, right? The original Southwest Conference and add Memphis. Ooh. Okay. I dig that. I like that a lot. Oh, man. Old school SMU would knock heads. I still love the story on the ESPN 30 for 30, right? When they were talking about the whole SMU situation, right? And there was a guy from A&M that said, what were we going to talk to the NCAA about? Hey, we gave Eric Dickerson a Trans Am or Corvette, whatever they gave him, and he didn't decide to come to school here. You couldn't do it. Craig James, Dickerson, the old Pony Express, I'm intrigued to see what they're going to do in the ACC. I am. So this brings me to my who would you rather. Now, guys that are in the chat, remember, like, share, follow, tell everybody, let's get involved. Here's my who would you rather. It's 2 quarterbacks. Who would you rather have for your college football team? And I say this encompassing the entire career, not just a season, but an entire career, what they did in college football. Who would you rather have? Deshaun Watson or Joe Shiesty, Joe Burrow? Now, statistically, for a career, Joe Burrow, 650 of 945 passing, 8,852 yards, 78 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. Now, we all know that historic year in 2019 when they absolutely pecker slapped Oklahoma and then went on to play Clemson and do the same thing to them. The amazing year they had, 402 of 527, 5,671 yards, 60 passing touchdowns to 8 interceptions. Whew. Now, again, the bounce back, he got rocked by Central Florida the year before. But man, you think about that year. But again, I take this as a whole, as everything that you've done in college, right? Everything that you've done in college. Now, Deshaun Watson, for his career, 814 of 1207, 10,163 yards, 90 touchdowns, 32 interceptions. A lot more interceptions, but he played a lot more. Joe Burrow really only played the last 2 years. Rushing attempts, 435 rushing attempts for Deshaun Watson, 1,934 yards, 26 touchdowns. Now, his 2015 campaign completed more than half, 4,100 yards, 35 touchdowns, 13 interceptions, 207 rushing attempts with 1,100 yards on the ground and 12 touchdowns. So I ask you, who would you rather have for your college football team? Joe Burrow at LSU or his college career because he was at Ohio State? We got to look at it. Got to look at that. He's Watson before he got bad at getting massages. Oh, that's a poor. Like Vandy Chris says, be a sport like Cat Williams and smash that like button like he would smash P. Did. I've watched that, Club Shay Shay. Let's see. UK, Vandy, Tennessee, LSU, Mississippi, Mississippi State, Alabama, Auburn, Georgia Tech. I think Georgia Tech, and I think Georgia Tech is still in the Alabama fight song. When they say that, they kind of surprised me. That's a tough one. Deshaun Watson was a monster. Absolutely. Everyone remembers the play against Alabama, the pick route that was able to succeed and give Clemson the victory over Alabama. And man, it's a tough one. But I think for a career, if I knew what kind of career totally, now with the type of offense that you have, I think I would lean more toward Deshaun Watson. Now, Joe Burrow had a phenomenal season in 2019. The Heisman Trophy, national champion. Both quarterbacks won national championships. Joe Burrow, the only one, of those two to win a Heisman. But it's, if I'm choosing, and I think you're right. Deshaun Watson. Burrow had one great season going into 2019. Most LSU fans didn't even want him as a starter because he was inconsistent. Yeah, I mean, think about that clip against Central Florida when he got absolutely blasted after an interception. Watson had the better career. I think as a career, Watson had a more proven career. If we're talking strictly college play, I would take Deshaun Watson. No disrespect to Burrow. Kid stepped up and showed out once he got handed the reins. Again, I agree. No disrespect to Joe. I mean, like I said, I watched him of course, a lot of people diced up Oklahoma's secondary. But Joe Burrow and what they did that 1 year, 60 passing touchdowns. Whew. But as a career, I think Deshaun Watson had it. 18 playoff with 7 major conference champions in the group of 5. I dig it. I dig it. I may be wrong. I think it's going towards a 4-team, 16-team, so that way you have it. I would love to see it. We may end up doing it in the college football, in the NCAA 25. I like that. Yeah, the conferences I think, it was great. He put Pac-12, just swapped Colorado with BYU. Now, I talked to a lot of people that went to that game when Oklahoma played out this year, loved going to Provo. They said it was amazing. Big Ten, Ohio State, Michigan State, Notre Dame, Purdue, Indiana, Louisville, Illinois, Northwestern, Wisconsin, Iowa, Minnesota. Yeah, traditional Big Ten, what it was. I like Georgia Tech and FSU in the SEC, which is still why I'm surprised it was Oklahoma and Texas and not those, because I know Georgia Tech was in the original SEC with Sewanee. You're going way back, way back. Now, Taj Boyd walks. That's a valid point. Taj Boyd, very good quarterback. Very, very good quarterback. But yeah, TriStar. I love those conferences. And like I said, I'm an old school Big 8 guy. Really like ACC. Who'd you put in there? Maryland, Virginia Tech, Duke, UNC, NC State, Wake Forest, App State. Okay. App State, Clemson, South Carolina, Central Florida, Miami. Okay. I like that. Did you do a Big East? There it is. Okay. Boston College, UConn, Syracuse, Rutgers, Temple, Penn State, Pitt, West Virginia. Look, that with West Virginia, Marshall, James Madison, Liberty, and East Carolina, that's a hell of a conference. I'm all about that. Well done, TriStar. I like that. Especially because you'll have Pitt and West Virginia. That's a huge rivalry. West Virginia and Marshall, big rivalry. James Madison, It's in Virginia, so you're close. Liberty's in Virginia. East Carolina. I dig that Big East. I dig that 100%. I never understood why Miami was in the Big East. JMU has been handling. I agree. Here's the thing I say about JMU. What I'm concerned about. Their athletic director that's been there over 20 years. That's helped build this program, and we all knew Odyssey Alexander. They came out, defeated number 1 Oklahoma in the College World Series in Oklahoma City. What she did to set James Madison on the James Madison football, James Madison basketball. Like, I want to see if they can continue the success there now that they're going to be switching athletic directors. Whatever happened to old Taj Boyd? That's a great question. Apple juice. Taj doesn't get enough love. I agree. I agree. Taj doesn't get enough love. I mean, again, because Taj is a coaching assistant at Clemson. There you go. Thank you. Appreciate that rating there, podcast. I think that's some good information to have that Taj Boyd. And again, so you see these guys that go out and they're coaching and they're being all involved. And, it'll be interesting to see where he goes. My wife is from the area. The folks are almost kind of mad at the success because it has built up that area into a jumping little college town. Whew, you're right. I mean, you're right. James Madison, I was born in Virginia Beach. I was actually born in Norfolk. So and everyone's like, how'd you become an Oklahoma? That's why I'm a Washington fan. Virginia Beach was the Washington Redskins / Commanders. Everyone in there, you were a Washington fan. But I have my grandparents lived in both Virginia and West Virginia. So I spent a lot of time in West Virginia, spent time in Pittsburgh, in that area, hunting, fishing, all up in that area. Love it. Love it. Jamie lost their coaches too. That's right. That's right. Good call, Vandy. I forgot about that. Signetti went to Indiana and he went to Vandy. Of course, Vandy. Harrisonburg is almost big as Carl now than Radford. Oh, okay. Okay. I'd have to see that. Now, I have, one of my favorite things that I like to do. It's my give him a sixer top 6. All right. My give him a sixer top 6. Now, what this is, see if we forget real talk. I love the upgrades to Vandy Stadium, but let's be real. Tear that ish down and build a Jamie replica. I love their house sitting beside the interstate, looking down. They do have some beautiful, very, very beautiful. You're from VA. I moved from VA myself. Yeah, I was born in the 757. I actually was playing basketball, and I'll say this. It wasn't with him, but I was playing in the same area as Allen Iverson the day he got in trouble for the fight at the bowling alley when he got in trouble. So everybody knew. And for those who don't know, Allen Iverson, not just a fantastic basketball player, that guy was a stud on the football field. I think Notre Dame wanted him. Oh, Bubba Chuck could do it all, man. Bubba Chuck could do it all. In my all playoff games are at home stadiums of the higher seed. And the national championship is always played at the Rose Bowl. I love the thought of playoff games at home. That's why I'm excited about this year. You get a playoff game at home. I think that atmosphere is great. The Rose Bowl, I agree. I love the Rose Bowl. So, like, that Oklahoma-Georgia Rose Bowl, like, there's just something about, even with Musburger, you're looking live. I mean, it's like the Rose Bowl, there's something special. And I've been to I didn't get to go to the Rose Bowl. But I've been to the Sugar Bowl. I went to the Fiesta Bowl. Been to the Orange Bowl. I didn't go to the Rose Bowl. Always just holds something for me. It always holds something for me, right? AI was the truth. AI with Bubba Chuck was nasty. Go back and watch, you could pull up Allen Iverson in high school. He would take the snap. He played quarterback, kick returner, defensive back. He would take the snap and just jog back and run around. Bam! Next thing you know, he'd take off, run. Woo! He was good. I would highly recommend inviting the UGA dude known as Rev Red and Black to your show. Yeah, we got to get him on. And again, much respect to Georgia. I tell everybody, I respect greatness. I'm not here to hate. Iron sharpens iron. I'm ready for the competition. Let's see if you're ready. Leg quarters. There you go. Hey, got to get something on the grill. Now I'm gonna tell you, there's a cut of meat that I've found out, right? Save you a little money. You don't have to buy a ribeye, buy a chuck eye. Chuck eye steaks on the grill are phenomenal. Phenomenal. But here I go. This is my give them a sixer top six. Top six plays since 2010 on the smoker. Oh gosh, stop. I love the smoker. I've got Oklahoma Joe smoker. Number 6. It's a rivalry game.
Here we are, 9 seconds left. Gators first down, 37-yard line, left hash. Snap to Franks. Franks dropping back, stepping up, running the ball, looking. He's going to heave one deep down the field. It's going to be to the goal line. It's going to be caught. It's a touchdown. And the Gators.
Felipe Franks. It was a great play. And again, not a lot. I mean, that's a big Florida-Tennessee, big rivalry. Again, I followed Tennessee a lot. I had a guy I played high school ball with. Marcus Nash played wide receiver at Tennessee. Did a great job. Love Marcus Nash. But that was phenomenal. Now, number 5. This one was tough to watch. It involves my guys. I think, number 5, what I put in there. Number 5.
Oklahoma with 2 timeouts remaining. Landry Jones is in trouble and throws this one. Deflected, intercepted if he was in the air. He was past the out-of-bounds line, but he may have been in the air. And Sean Lewis.
That play right there. And again, I hate Oklahoma State. Fantastic play. Landry Jones, who, again, I've told the story about Landry. Just not a big fan of Landry when he was playing on the road. Always did stuff, but great play. In the out-of-bounds area, tips it back into the field of play. Tip drill. Outstanding. Tip of the hat. Can't say
who scored on a 52-yard pick six.
Tennessee, Florida is
back in the game. A lot of football left to be played. Great time to take a shot right
now.
On the field, it's going.
I messed up.
Lewis, who scored on a 52-yard pick six, may have.
So
back in the game. A lot of football.
You've got to remember also the 4th down before this, the spot that the referees gave Michigan. South Carolina was pissed off.
Left to be played. Great time to take a shot right now if you're Michigan. But you have to learn to forget about it when it doesn't go your own way and finish.
Wow. Michigan at the 41. What a hit! Ball's free on the ground. South Carolina deserves to have it, and they do.
I love the call. South Carolina deserves to have it, and they do. When they say ball don't lie, ball don't damn lie. And that you could go back and you could watch different views and stuff of that play. Not only the speed, the explosiveness, and everything that Jadeveon Clowney did in that play. There it is. Boomstick. But go back and watch as he's on top of the Michigan running back. He palms the football with one hand and gets up. Absolute boss move. Boss move. That's my number 4 play. Number 3. Tough for me to swallow this one.
Scored a touchdown earlier on a direct snap. Now it's Michelle's turn, running all the way. Gets to the edge. Sony Michelle will send the Dogs home to the championship game.
One of the best football games I've ever watched. And I hate the fact that Oklahoma lost that game. It's a game that I'm mad at Lincoln Riley about for a couple of coaching decisions in that game. Oklahoma's up 31-13. and putting it on Georgia. Early. And then they squib kick the damn ball. But let's Hot Rod kick a field goal. Then you couldn't stop them. But here's how about them Dogs. Fantastic game. Love it. You won the game. But what was so bad is we all know what Oklahoma's defense has been, right? Sony Michel fumbled. Stephen Parker had a scoop and score. Oklahoma takes the lead late in the game, and I'm like, holy crap, we're going to do it. Oklahoma's going to do it. Then they got another stop on defense and got the ball back. All they had to do was get a first down. The game is over. Nope. Lincoln Riley took the ball out of Baker Mayfield's hands. The Dogs go on to win, and it literally one of the best football games I've ever watched. And I agree. Hey, much respect. It's a W. I'm not one. I never blame stuff on. There was no bad calls. I don't blame stuff on refs. I don't. I don't. You still won, and you won. Okay, Vandy, you need to pay attention to what I said, sir. If Flutie in the past aren't number one, I'm going to call recency bias. This is just from 2010 on. That's all. 2010 on. This is not going back. And this is from 2010 on. All right. Now, this one, as a former play-by-play guy, this got me in the feels. And every time I hear it, it gets me in the feels. Because I think it's one of the best calls ever in the history of college football. It's one of the best plays ever in the history of college football. Here's the field view if you're watching on live stream. Number 2. How long did I make that number?
56-yarder. Does not have the leg. And Chris Davis takes it in the back of the end zone. He'll run it out to the 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 45. There goes Davis. Oh, my God. Davis is going to run it all the way back. Auburn's going to win the football game. Auburn's going to win the football game. He ran the missed field goal back. He ran it back 109 yards. They're not going to keep him off the field tonight. Holy cow. Oh, my God. Auburn wins. Auburn has won the Iron Bowl.
I got chills there. I'm not an Auburn fan, but Rod Bramlett, I respect the job, the preparation, what you bring as a play-by-play guy. I tried to bring excitement when I was doing play-by-play. I had the opportunity to do some Oklahoma softball back in 2013. I did play-by-play for, Trey Young when he was in high school, George Kittle when he was playing football. And Rod Bramlett, rest in peace, Rod, gone too soon. The passion. And you could hear it there. That's what the Iron Bowl was. That's what the Iron Bowl is, And I talk about it a lot being that I'm an Oklahoma fan. And I think OU Texas is one of the most special football games in all of college football. Just because of the atmosphere, the environment at the Texas State Fair. It's crazy. When I was in the Navy, I was stationed in Jacksonville, Florida. I worked security at Alltel Stadium. So I've been to Florida, Georgia, for about 5 years straight out there. But just there's something about OU Texas. The only thing close I can relate to that was when Bama and Auburn would play at Legion Field in Birmingham. It's sad. Protected Stadium, I wish that they would do that and really get into, have Auburn, Alabama there. But again, Jordan Herrick, great. But Rob Bramlett with that call, you're not going to keep him off the field tonight. And that stems from obviously a couple games prior to that. They beat Georgia and Marshall, the deflected pass. Everyone get mad because, I think they got fined for having the people on the field. But Rod Bramlett saying, you're not going to keep him off the field tonight. You could hear the passion because he became part of the Auburn family. And that's one of the things I've tried to explain to people when you start doing play-by-play. So I did, for Norman North High School in Oklahoma. And for that, I saw this team progress from when I first started doing play-by-play for them to 2012. They played in the state championship game. And those are all guys that I watched grow up and play this game. There was 32 seniors on that team. And I felt like I was part of that team. Whether some people think that's hokey or not, but you could hear that in that call. And then for what that was at that time, Nick Saban arguing, bitching about getting that 1 second back. Okay, here you go. The kicking woes that Alabama had. And then you got even worse because, dude, that next game they played, they faced Oklahoma in the Sugar Bowl. And that was the night that Trevor Knight went absolutely bonkers. How about Vandy with the QB that UT didn't recruit, scoring the game winner in Knoxville in the shadows of his own house? Fake jump pass. TriStar hates me. Apple juice rip rod. Yeah, absolutely. Says, yes. Every time a Bama fan says 3rd and 26, I reply kick 6 and 3rd and Ringo. Well, it's not 3rd and 26. It was 2nd and 26. And I've got it as my number one play. I've got it
right there.
Now, this comes on the heels of a bad play by a young quarterback. Tagovailoa gets sacked. 2nd and 26. It's in overtime. We all know what happens.
Tagovailoa trying to make up for it. Fires to the end zone. Touchdown! Alabama wins!
But for me, because it won the national championship, that's why for me, I think it's a top play for me. Again, I've loved all the interaction. Zangief says Iron Bowl, OU, Texas, Army, Navy, Dogs, Gators. Those are my top 4 in no particular. It's a really good list. And I think I'm the same. Obviously, you like Dogs, Gators. OU, Texas. If you're a football fan, that's one of the games I say, even if you don't have a rooting interest in it, just go and watch. Be a part of the spectacle. Go to the state fair. Get you a Fletcher's Corny Dog. Get you a wax cut beer. See the intermingling of burnt orange and crimson and cream and, everything that happens. It's been some great games. There's a lot of history. Think about the players that have walked down that tunnel. Unreal. If you're a huge college football fan, before I think a bucket list has to be OU, Texas. Army, Navy's on mine. Army, Navy is on mine. I've, being that I'm prior military myself, I come from a very military, tradition-rich family. I want to be a part of that, see the march in, everything that they do. And again, those are young men that the majority of them are not playing for NIL. The majority of them are not playing, for NFL contracts. They're going off to do horrible things so we can continue to do stuff like this. So that the pride would take over in that. Iron Bowl, absolutely. Just something weird always happens in that damn game. Something weird always happens in that game. It says keep mixing up with 23. Oh, that was brutal. 28-3. Brutal. So I got to ask you, what do you think about your Falcons now? Kirk Cousins, Bijan. I love, again, Oklahoma guy. But I love Bijan Robinson. I don't think he was used right last year. You've got a phenomenal target in Pitts. Now, that's one of the games, not to rub this in, but my wife got tickets last year for my birthday, and I got to go down and see the Washington Commanders play the Atlanta Falcons in the Georgia Dome. It was one of the 4 games that the Commanders won. I got to see a quarter of their wins, but I love Bijan. I think Bijan has that draft PT. I hope. Now, I'm going to tell you this. So Zangief, I have a guy that I know. if you need a hookup at Atlanta, there's a gentleman that I know that used to work at the University of Oklahoma. He was in the sports information department. He is now in the same department for the Atlanta Falcons, does a tremendous job with them. I got to see, I got to see if maybe we can get you hooked up, expect the Falcons to push for a South Division title this year if Kirk is healthy. It's very possible. That NFC South is going to be a lot of fun to watch. Is Spencer Rattler going to start for the Saints? How's Baker going to be? Now he's got his his old security blanket and Sterling Shepard back. They're teamed up together at Tampa. The Falcons, if Kirk is healthy with a Kyle Pitts, a Bijan Robinson, I think you have the chance. They got to get better defensively. Obviously, the Falcons have to get better defensively. But it's going to be, the Carolina Panthers, you can't do anything but get better. I don't think you can get any worse. He said, are you smoking some through your Apple purchase? I've done that before. Now, I'm not going to tell that story. Only private. I'll tell that story about the Apple. We used to be great. We used to be the MacGyver of creating bongs back in the day, back in the day. But guys, man, it's been a lot of fun tonight. I got some guests that I'm trying to arrange to come on. Hopefully next week, I'm going to have Taylor Arenz on. She is one of the newest members of the College Football Dogs Network. She is going to be hosting our game day activities from the games. She works out in Texas, covers high school football. I've watched some of her content. She does a great job. Obviously, Texas high school football is big. It's big. I used to go down there and cover recruiting, and Taylor does a good job. She's going to be our game day voice. So pay attention to the College Football Dogs. Like I said, I'm trying to have her on. I've got some other connections. The managing editor for Vols Report, he's going to come on. Trying to get a hold of, lock down a date for my old guy, Teddy Lehman. See if maybe I can get Teddy on. Of course, Teddy was a Butkus Award winner, All-American, guy that I did a radio show with for years. Get his thoughts on Oklahoma coming in to the SEC. He's now the color analyst on the game day broadcast. And mentioning that, I would be remiss if I didn't say speedy recovery to Toby Rowland. Good friend of mine, good friend of the show, former coworker. He's the play-by-play voice for the University of Oklahoma and had to go have emergency surgery. Had a problem with his kidney. I think everything is okay. There's a lot of private stuff I'm not going to get into on the air, but I worked with Toby for a long time, one of the most genuine. When I talked about Rod Bramlett, Toby Rowland is kind of the same way, kind of the same way. And I think, because he grew up an Oklahoma fan. And unfortunately, when Bob Berry Sr. passed and, Toby got the job, it's just, Toby's always been a good friend of mine. And I love that guy. I saw him when Trey Young came down to play. So it was scary to see. But thoughts and prayers go out to Toby. Hope you get better. Football season's right around the corner. So we need you to get it ready to call these games as we head into the SEC. But again, guys, if you see all the socials down here, Sports Bites Pod 1 is how you follow on X. On Twitter, on TikTok, at Sports Bites Pod. Go to YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe at Sports Bites Podcast. Follow on Instagram, Sports Bites Podcast. And I think, again, I talk about the College Football Dogs. Very grateful for everybody involved in this organization to give me an opportunity and a platform to kind of live out this passion of mine of talking about sports, talking about food, maybe some, if it'll show, some good whiskey, who knows? I've got a good collection here. I've got a good collection. I did not drink any tonight, but I enjoy my bourbon and I enjoy the interaction. Like tonight was awesome. I want to thank everybody that was involved, that made comments. It reminded me of being back on the radio. I loved having a caller-driven show. and to have the comments and the interaction back and forth. I love it. I love it. I hope I was entertaining. I hope I was informative. You know, if not, feel free to message me. Let me know. Like, I'm always up for a good sports debate, you know, always up for a good sports debate. I love it. That's why I love sports. That's why I love being able to talk. And you know, Oklahoma's in the SEC, and I got to show, you know, my my big background that I had. I can show it. OU and SEC. You know, I'm excited. As a longtime Oklahoma fan, my family's been in Birmingham since 94, 95. So this is big. It's big, and I can't wait. But everybody that participated, thank you. Remember to like, share, subscribe. You know, pass the word around. Tell your enemies. You know, if they think Oklahoma is not ready, tell them to come on and voice their opinion. I welcome it all. Let me know what you think. But also, I say pay attention to the college football dogs, because if you are a fan of football, whether it be professional football, because we got some NFL podcasts as well, covering the Patriots, the Cowboys, the Raiders, the Patriots. Like there's shows that go towards everywhere. The guys on the Sports Channel said they already hate the SEC chants in Norman. They don't know if OU comes with it, then makes us. See, okay, so I'm going to say this. For those that don't know, the Sports Animal out in Oklahoma is the second oldest all sports talk radio station in the country, behind WFAN in New York. Now, on that station, and I haven't listened in a while just because I couldn't, because we were in competition with him. Jim Traber is absolutely one of the worst radio guys in the history. Jim Traber was a Oklahoma State quarterback, played for the Baltimore Orioles, famous for getting in a fight over the Japan League, and overall just being a windbag and just not a good human being. And I told him to his face. He tried to, you know, say some stuff on air one day, and just not a fan. But the Sports Animal has lost its touch. Al Ashback, who's been on the radio for longer than radio's been around, you know, those guys, I know a lot of you people listening probably don't know what the hell I'm talking about. But Zengi, if you talk, you know, about the Sports Animal, just not good. I'll say this. If you were watching out there, Eddie Radosevich, who was on Feinbaum, he used to produce my show when he was an intern at the radio station. I got to get Eddie on, get to meet him easy to talk about what's going on. But yeah, I don't respect anything the Sports Animal says. I don't respect anything the Sports Animal does. Never have, never will. They always took shots at Toby when Toby got the job. Remember, Jim Traber said something that was, you know, just kind of out of pocket. Just kind of out of pocket. And that's the way they've always been. Mark Rogers, kind of the same, you know, him and his bedazzled jeans and affliction shirts and everything. Zangief, love Eddie. Eddie's a great dude. Eddie Radosevich, for those of you who are not Oklahoma fans, if you want to follow a very good Oklahoma social media account, Eddie Radosevich, Eddie Rado on Twitter, phenomenal. Does a great job. He covers recruiting, covers the teams, and he just his flair for social media, man. And I'm trying to get him on. I've talked to him. I was talking to him during the baseball, towards the end of the baseball season. Of course, he was covering baseball, covering spring practice, doing all that. So I'm trying to get him on right before. I'll probably get him on after SEC Media Day to kind of get his thoughts. I'm probably going to try to have Alex Blackburn on, who's one of the writers for the College Football Dogs. He's going to be at Big 12 Media Day. Dominic Ambrose, he's going to be at ACC Media Day. So I'm going to get those guys on. We're going to talk, because it's coming, guys. College football is here. All right. Again, thank you. I appreciate everybody that watched. I appreciate everybody that took part of this show. It makes me happy. It fulfills me to be able to talk about sports. Matt Henry, how you doing, brother? I say good evening. I'm getting ready to sign off, man. It's been a good show. You can go back and watch it. I hope you're doing all right, Matt. But thank you, everybody. It was a lot of fun. Remember, follow all the socials. Like, subscribe, follow the College Football Dogs, because the dogs are coming, guys. Dogs are coming. So I bid you an adieu. I thank you guys for everything. Have a great night. Enjoy your holidays. Be safe. Let the firework go before the wick burns out. We don't need any, Jerry Garcia's walking around. But thank you. Remember to always positively move forward, guys.
Thanks for joining us on this delicious journey through the world of sports and food on Sports Box with your host, Chris Joseph. We hope you've enjoyed the game day stories and culinary adventures. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. And if you've got any mouth-watering sports-related tales or favorite game day recipes, share them with us on social media. Until next time, remember, it's not just about the game. It's about the bites that make it unforgettable. Stay hungry for more Sports Bites.